right now on Fox News Sunday. And hello again from Fox News in Washington. This week, Fox News Sunday marks 20 years on the air. And today, as the Republican race for president approaches what could be a tipping point, we'll speak with the top two candidates, Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. Trump hasn't appeared on a Sunday show in almost a month, but he agreed to an exclusive interview today to mark our anniversary. And after landslide victories on the East Coast, he's looking ahead to Indiana Tuesday, where a big win could effectively clinch the nomination. Mr. Trump, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Good morning.
You were the target of sometimes violent protests in California this week opposing your hardline immigration policy. Are you concerned that if you're the Republican nominee, these demonstrations could disrupt your campaign?
No, we were, at that particular moment, we had 31,000 people in the stands. It was packed. They've never had a crowd like that. It's the biggest crowd they've ever had. We had 31,000 people. We didn't have a riot. We didn't have anybody even raise their hand. It was like a love fest for an hour and a half. It was incredible. I didn't even see the riot. I guess it was, you know, these are wise guys that stomp on policemen's cars, and it's a terrible thing that people are allowed to get away with this. These were professional agitators. They were wearing masks. The cops told me anytime you see a guy with a mask, you know he's a professional. And they were wearing masks. And these people have to be dealt with very strongly because you can't allow that to happen to a police car, you know, essentially. But this was an amazing evening where we had 31,000 people, and almost never, other than a couple of helicopter shots, did anybody see the crowd, the massiveness of the crowd. A record-setting crowd, and nobody even saw it. They only showed some guys making noise outside.
But, Mr. Trump, it isn't just, as you say, professional agitators. You've angered a lot of people in this country beyond even the illegal immigrants. In a recent poll, 15% of Hispanic voters have a favorable view of you, 81% unfavorable. I don't have to tell you, you cannot win in November with those numbers.
Well, I say those numbers are going way up once I start going. I have two more people I have to get rid of. I started off with 17, and one by one I knocked them off. I knocked off Jeb Bush, who was easy. I knocked off Walker. I knocked off a lot of very talented people. And frankly, I have to, you know, I have to do what I have to do. Now, once I start on Hillary, you'll see the numbers change. I mean, look, when I started this, everybody said, well, I'm not a professional politician, which is a good thing, by the way, but it's true. But one by one, I won, and now I'll have history. Watch what happens. Watch what happens with Hillary. And watch what happens with my numbers. But I've been hit with 55,000 negative ads, 55,000, over $100 million of negative ads. Kasich hasn't been hit with one ad. I mean, he's not going anywhere anyway, frankly. But he hasn't been hit with an ad, and neither is Cruz. I've been hit with 55,000 ads, and I'm still leading in a landslide. And I think doing really well in, as you probably have seen, I'm doing really well in Indiana. And one more thing, the last two polls that came out have me tied with Hillary, and one has me winning.
Well, let me talk to you about, you talked about Hillary Clinton. Let's talk about your standing with women, too, because in that same poll that showed you overwhelmingly negative among all Hispanic voters, 24% of women have a favorable view of you, 75% unfavorable. And yet, in your victory speech on Tuesday night, here's what you had to say about Clinton.
I think the only card she has is the woman's card. She's got nothing else going. And frankly, if Hillary Clinton were a man, I don't think she'd get 5% of the vote.
Now, I got to tell you, strategists in both parties say if you consciously went about it, if you specifically planned, you couldn't have said anything that would drive your numbers among women even lower.
Really? Okay, well, I'm my own strategist, and I like that, what I said, and it's true. I only tell the truth, and that's why people are voting for me.
Wait a minute.
And don't forget, in the Republican primaries, which I just beat Cruz by numbers that up like 50%, I was up by so much. I had 62 in New York, and I was 63 and 64.
Mr. Trump, I mean, with all due respect, whether or not you like, let me just ask the question.
But Chris, all of the polls coming out, I won with the women by landslides. I beat Cruz, and I beat
I understand,
Kasich,
but Hillary Clinton's
is
a different deal. And regardless of whether you like her or not, or think that she should be president or not, to say, I mean, she was a senator, she was a Secretary of State for 4 years, to say if she were a man, she'd get 5%. Isn't that kind of dismissive?
Well, Bernie Sanders said a lot worse than that. He said that she almost shouldn't be allowed to run. that she's not qualified to run. And she's not capable. I mean, Bernie Sanders, what he said was a lot worse than what I said, and I'm going to use that. We'll have that teed up. But Bernie Sanders said she shouldn't be allowed to run, that she's not capable. And you know, what he said is incredible. It's a soundbite. It's an automatic. In fact, as soon as she said it, they broke in and they said, I can just imagine Donald Trump watching these statements Bernie Sanders is making about Clinton. So, look, she's a strong person. She's going to have to be able to take it. The fact is, the only card she has is the woman's card. She's done a lousy job in so many ways, and even women don't like her. They don't like her. But it is the woman's card, and she plays it. And I'll let you know in about 6 months whether or not she plays it well. But I don't think she'll play it well. I don't think she'll play it well at all. And it's true. If she were not a woman, she wouldn't even be in this race.
All right. Let's talk about your big foreign policy speech this week, which I think it's fair to say got mixed reviews. One of the concerns, the biggest criticism perhaps, was that there were contradictions, for instance, in how you would handle the Middle East. Here you are.
We're getting out of the nation-building business and instead focusing on creating stability in the world.
The question is, if we're going to disengage from that part of the world, how do we promote stability? You talk about, in your speech, the futility of creating democracies. Would you like to see a return to strongmen in the Middle East, people like Mubarak and Saddam Hussein?
Isn't it too bad that we knocked him out in the first place? Okay, you know, if our presidents went to the beach for 365 days a year, we'd be a lot better in the Middle East than we are now. Now you have a mess. You have a big, fat mess. And I called that a long time ago, in 04 and 03. I said, don't knock out. When you knock out Iraq, you're going to ruin the balance. And the balance has been horrible. Then you had Libya and Syria and everything. I mean, they couldn't have been worse. The people that advised our presidents or our presidents, whoever was the one that came up with this plan, I mean, what we've done in the Middle East, we've spent $4 trillion, and we're far worse than the first gunshot that was fired. And what we've got to do is we've got to knock off ISIS, and we've got to at some point get out of there, because we have to rebuild our country. Our country is becoming third world. Our airports, our roadways, our train systems. You go to China and you go to other places, they have trains that travel 300 miles an hour. We have the Long Island Railroad that can hardly move. I mean, we are like a third world country, but we have to get rid of ISIS, and we have to get rid of them very decisively. And I've been saying for a long time, keep the oil. ISIS now has Libyan oil. You know, it's among the finest oils in the world. ISIS now has the Libyan oil. We don't even do anything to.
Mr. Trump,
we don't even do anything to stop it. They're making a fortune with Libyan oil.
Let me pick up on this.
If we would have left Gaddafi, you wouldn't have that. Look, every move we made in the Middle East was wrong. And a lot of times they want me to get these, you know, great foreign advisors and these great geniuses, and they've been involved for 15 years. I don't want the people that have been involved for 15 years, because those are the people that have absolutely what they've done to this country and our country. And on top of it, we owe $19 trillion in debt.
But let me pick up on this, because when you talk about, you know, we need to stop spending money overseas and spend it at home, that sounds more like a liberal Democrat. And the question I have is, you talk about the mess, your words, that Bush and Obama and Clinton have made in the Middle East, interventions in Iraq and Libya. It almost sounds like you would be, as a general election candidate, you would be criticizing Hillary Clinton from the left, that we should be less intervening in the rest of the world.
I want to rebuild our country. I want to rebuild our military, make it bigger, better, stronger than ever before. I want to take care of our vets. We have to handle education. We have to get rid of Obamacare. You know, our education system is a disaster, and we got to get rid of Common Core, which is just absolutely no good.
Would it be fair to say that Hillary Clinton will be the hawk in this race?
Chris, we have so many things to do with our country. We can't have this anymore. We are spending all of our money in the Middle East. We're spending numbers that are crazy.
So, Mr.
And on top of that, we're defending the world. We're the policemen to the world.
Would it be fair to say
and this country can't afford to do it?
Would it be fair to say that Hillary Clinton will be the hawk in this race and you'll be the dove?
No, I'll tell you what. I'll be much tougher than her. I will have much more respect than her from foreign countries. In fact, I read today where they're very concerned with me. They feel I'm very strong, very tough, and they're very concerned. So that's a little opposite of what you're telling me. That's a psychological thing, which frankly is good. Let them be a little concerned. Look, we're defending Germany. We're defending Japan, South Korea. We're defending Saudi Arabia with all of that money. And we're not getting properly reimbursed. We don't have any money, and we're like the policemen to the world. What's going on is crazy. We are going to strengthen our military big league. By the way, it's the cheapest money you can spend. And we've got to pull back, because that is just a big mess. That's a revolution. That's a civil war. That's a religious war going over there. We're in the middle of it. For 15 years, we've been wasting time, killing lives, and I mean lives on both sides.
Mr. Trump, we're running out of time.
Hundreds of thousands, even millions of people have been killed because of horrible decision-making by our president.
And for my 20th anniversary, let me ask a couple of questions, okay?
Yes.
President Obama, excuse me, took some shots at you again at the White House Correspondents' Dinner last night. Here's one of them.
They say Donald lacks the foreign policy experience to be president. But in fairness, he has spent years meeting with leaders from around the world. Miss Sweden, Miss Argentina.
He also said that you could close Guantanamo Bay because you're good at running waterfront properties into the ground.
Well, I guess I'm good at something, because I made $10 billion, and I started with a $1 million loan. So now I have over $10 billion of net worth. So I guess I'm good at something. And I have the best waterfront properties in the world, so I don't even know what he's talking about. But I have some of the great waterfront properties in the world. You look at Turnberry. You look at all of the jobs I've done in Los Angeles.
But your reaction to what the president had to say?
Well, I think it was fine. It's a comedy. I mean, it's fine. I thought he did a nice job. It was good. I wasn't there. But I thought he did a nice job. My children went, actually.
Finally, let's turn to the Indiana primary on Tuesday. We talked with Ted Cruz earlier, and we'll play that in the next segment. But here's how he posed the choice for voters in Indiana. Here he is.
You want a contrast of this entire race. It is Donald and Mike Tyson, a convicted rapist, versus me standing with Carly Fiorina and Mike Pence.
It's interesting, the Cruz campaign is making an issue of your support for Mike Tyson back during the time of the rape conviction in 1992. Your reaction to that?
It just shows what a liar he is. So Mike Tyson, over the Internet, endorsed me. He said, I endorse Mr. Trump. He said that. That was it. No big deal. I didn't have a meeting or anything. I haven't seen Mike in years, but he said he endorsed me. So Cruz is now saying, oh, he was a rapist. This guy is a real liar. That's why we call him Lion Ted Cruz. I mean, the greatest liar that ever lived, except he gets caught every time. Look, I have Bobby Knight's endorsement. We go around. In fact, I'm going right now after this show. I'm going to Indiana. We're going to have Bobby Knight. We're going to have other people that are unbelievable. And by the way, if you really take a look at Mike Pence, I think he gave me more of an endorsement than he gave Cruz. He started off with Donald Trump, and what a great job he's done. And I mean, look, his donors and special interests obviously made him give an endorsement. But you know, Chris, because you've covered it, most people think it was more of an endorsement for me than it was for Cruz. It was the weakest endorsement anyone has seen
Final 30
in a long time.
Final 30 seconds. If you win Indiana Tuesday, is this race over?
Yes, it's over. I think it's over now, but it's over. Cruz cannot win. He's got no highway. He's got nothing. He's way behind. I'm leading him by millions and millions of votes, and I'm leading him by 400 or 500 delegates. He can't win.
Mr. Trump, thank you. Thanks for your time, and thank you so much for coming in today, sir.
Thank you very much. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.